Goedemorgen. Het is lekker om hier te wezen. And that's how far my Afrikaans goes. Pleasure to meet everyone. My name is Cem Gulbayir, and at Camunda I'm responsible for the African market with a specific focus on here, on South Africa. And today I'm together with my colleague Yasmin Hamdi, not Hamid Alexander, but doesn't matter, with Yasmin Hamdi, who's actually going to play Jessica. Can you come on stage, Jessica, and introduce yourself? Need the clicker.
Can you hear me? Okay. Hello, everyone. So for today, we're doing sort of like a role play for you about one of the use cases that some of you will mostly see in even in your normal life. So today I'm going to be playing Jessica, as Jem said. Jessica is the CFO of a manufacturing company. She has been, or I have been, as Jessica, I have been a banking client for a specific bank, let's call it Bank X, for 8 years, okay? And then my company is doing very good. Our orders or the demand for our product is through the roof. So we've decided that we want to expand. Accordingly, I decided to, okay, I'm gonna ask for a credit facility from the bank that I've been dealing with, again, for 8 years. So
Jessica, can you explain to me how it's going? So you're gonna get that line of credit. How has your last week been?
So I started on Monday, normal week. I go online. I apply for my credit facility for the expansion that I've told you about. And then nothing happens. I applied, okay, I wait. And then it's Tuesday. On Tuesday, I get an alert from the bank through a message or an email or something that one of our supplier payments has been flagged for fraud. Not ideal, however, okay, could happen. So on Wednesday, I call my relationship manager. And I'm like, this happened, and FYI, I also applied for the credit facility. And then my relationship manager does not know anything about anything, not even the fraud case or like this alert or the facility that I've applied for, which is not ideal as well. And then on Thursday, I go to the portal, and then the bank asked me to, okay, like apply some, not apply, sorry, upload some documents for like the KYC docs that I should apply for. Although supposedly the bank knows me, however, okay, let's put some additional documents. And then I try to upload the documents and it's not working. Why? I don't know, like the file format or something is not the correct one. So I try to do like, to talk to like the support agent online, and no, they cannot support me. So I end up just emailing them manually or uploading them manually to my relationship manager, who now knows what is happening. And then on Friday, I get this email about the exact credit facility that I'm applying for as a new product. However, I have not heard any update about my actual process or my actual request that I've applied for. So I'm very frustrated right now.
So what do we see happening over here? We see that Jessica is interacting with different types of ways, from email to client manager, and uploading things. So in the experience, she receives little personalization, a lack of transparency in the status. She doesn't know what's happening, and it's slow turnaround times, right? What we see happening in the back is that we see actually disconnected workflows, disconnected systems, siloed systems that are working separate from each other, and a lot of manual processes and handoffs. And this leading to, as you guys all know, like high costs, slower speed to market, but even more critical, a customer who has been there for 8 years has a horrible experience. And if we then look at what we could do, right?
Why don't we just throw in some agents and try to make this, I don't know, a bit easier? Can we do that?
Yeah. So that's of course what everyone is saying. Throw in agents and we'll deliver the value. And of course, in reality, I mean, you guys have tons of experience here in the banking industry. This doesn't work. So we see that there's a lot of promises being claimed, but not actually the value being generated. Actually, the panel here was speaking all about it. And if we look at how we can actually solve this, so we see if you throw in the agent in those separate systems, then it can even, the problem can even become bigger. And if we talk about what is actually missing, so how we can actually solve this, then we're actually talking about agentic orchestration. And that's what we do as Camunda. So we provide a unified agentic orchestration layer to basically model, test, execute, and optimize the end-to-end process, which is, by the way, 90% still deterministic. However, the 10% that is non-deterministic, dynamic, that's where you use your agents. And if you do it in that way, you do it in a controlled way, you can make sure that in terms of governance that you know what's happening. You will have a full audit trail, and we're talking about scaling with trust, not just speed. If we look at how it looks like, I'm not going to dive into all the nitty-gritty details here, but the important thing is you have your engagement layer, whether it's on the web, whether it's a person, whether it's on mobile, and even in the future we see headless layer of agentic engagement. That will keep on happening. And you use Camunda in the layer below, the orchestration. So what I already mentioned, from end-to-end process orchestration, where you do it, you can build it, you make sure that your systems are connected, and you only use the agents and the LLMs which are necessary in the right places. And then you can connect it and integrate it with any kind of system, whether you use on-prem systems or cloud systems, we don't care. You can integrate with any system, and as you can see, we also have the connectors and you name it. But in essence, what we focus on is enabling this agentic orchestration layer and call it the orchestrated bank. So then, Jessica, can you say how your day looks like now when you apply for a credit?
Now it's a day first and not a week. So this is my new week after I did, like, let's say my next application. I request my credit request or my credit facility as normal as I did the last time. However, once I initiate this, 3 different processes get triggered at the exact same time. First, there is a KYC process. Second, a credit check process. Third, a document request process. Each one of them is triggered by, let's say, a different agent. However, they're triggered at the same time in parallel. Then, again, like what happened before, there is a fraud alert. However, now the system can see, it correlates this fraud alert with my current request, and my relationship manager has the full visibility on what's happening. So when I do call him, he sees all the 3 processes that are there. He sees my credit facility request, and he also sees this fraud alert, which the rest team can just take care of, because they can compare, okay, like, this is my history. They can see all of my history with my request, and then it's like, okay, it's just wrong alert, let's say. And then the AI agent completes my documents review, comparing it to my previous history again, and to what I have uploaded or I have applied now. And then at the end, I just get, hopefully, I get my credit facility at the same time. Could be the next day. However, again, it could be at the same time, given that everything is already there. So the idea here is humans don't need to interfere unless it's an exception request, or it's actually a big alert that a human needs to be in the loop. Other than that, I think the agents just did all of the work, and as a customer, I got what I was expecting. It's fast, it's easy, and it's just very user-friendly. This is the idea of getting what I'm needing. That's it.
Sounds like an ideal scenario with a happy customer. So also for everyone in the room, this is an example, of course, what Jessica said, but I also want to highlight, you won't be the first that actually will be using our platform. So both globally as well as locally, we have a lot of your colleagues, your peers, and a lot of banks and insurance companies that have been using Camunda for years now. So we can share our experience. We try to do it in a brief session at this moment, but we can share our experience in a bit as well. If we talk about what we spoke now in the last, 8 to 9 minutes, briefly to summarize. So if you want to deploy agents without orchestration, no. You want to have the governance in place. Are you going to wait for the market to settle? Also no, because then your competition will be ahead of you. So what do we say? We orchestrate now. And if you want to hear more about us, we are there in the room with our stand and happy to explain to you more. Thank you.